Alrighty, let's look at question 30. If you look at it, it's talking about the total cost of uniforms for players on a volleyball team that can be found using this function. So you've got this equation. You've got C equals 34.95U plus 6.25. Now, I rewrote that equation down here so I can see it. And I had the class take this apart. C is your total cost. That's Y. 34.95, that's the cost of one uniform. That is slope. That is rise over run. That's direct variation. That's per. That's each. All those flavors you want to discuss. U is X, and X is how many uniforms you're going to buy. And the 6.25 could be tax, could be shipping. It's going to be a one-time extra thing only. Now, over here I wrote Dr. ID, list 1, list 2, input, output, that's an L, and that's X comma Y. Now, so I've got this going on. And it says there are at least 8 players, but there's no more than 12. So I wrote them. There could be 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 players. And that is X. Because it says so right here. How many you're buying. If you're buying the uniforms, that's probably how many kids are on the team. So, and then range would be Y. And that would be the total cost. Now the total cost looks like J. I didn't calculate it, but it looks like a total cost to me. This one here. How can you have less than or equal to 12? You can't have partial children. So this includes decimals and fractions. No decimals and fractions of children. H is how many kids are on the team. J, I think, is how much money is involved. And they ask you for domain, and domain is X, and X is right here. Uniforms, that's kids. Answer is H. Question 31. A circle has a radius of that. The area of the circle can be found using that formula. What is the area of the circle in square centimeters? There's your formula. If this is the radius, and I actually scratched out the rest of this so you could just see R, this is the R part. So this fits right here. And if you notice, I rewrote it. And this means there's 2 of them. Correct? Now, if you notice, there's pie on all these. Like chocolate pie? No, I'm kidding. Definitely lemon. Now, delete the pie, so that doesn't count. What is 6 times 6? I think 36. So it's either B or C. And A and D are out. And if these numbers are the same, don't you add the exponents if the coefficients are the same? Yes? Add like things. 9x's and 9x's, I think, makes 18x's. The answer is B. That's actually on your formula chart talking about adding exponents. Question 32. Which graph can be used to find the solution for the system of equations? That right there says y1, y2, y0. And if you don't know what that means, why not go watch the video? Why not? So you've got this system right here, and I can tell you, go fix it. These aren't pretty. They got to be y equals mx plus b. This one's not bad. You just have to kick the 2x out, and that's negative 2x, and keep your negative 4. This one I divided by negative 3, and so that's what I got. Now, if you look at these, they're both negative. They got to have a negative slope. That means F could be answer, G could be an answer, H has a positive, and J has a positive. Those are out. And they both cross at negative 4. I think that's right there, and that's an easy question. Question 32. Which inequality describes all the solutions to this? Now, if you look at this, you got some weird stuff going on. But look, if I pretend that's an equal sign, and I mean pretend, wouldn't that be the left, the right, the y1, the y2, the y0? If you put that in, you're going to get x equals 3, it'll say so on the calculator. Now, the better question is it greater than or less than 3? Well, first things first, I can tell you it's 3. Well, you only have one. It's this one. Here's my work, and this is why I flipped that sign, because if you divide by negative x, you flip that sign. And if you're not sure, I bet you it's about an 80% chance you're going to flip that sign anyway. But I could be 20% wrong. Question 34. You got a parabola. Yes, a quadratic. And it even says so, quadratic. Gosh, there's good hints. It says, what is the maximum value? That means how tall does it get? Now, if you read, right there's 9. And yep, that was it. Now, if you want a calculator hints, you could pick some points. I picked this one, I picked that one, and I picked that one right there because they're whole numbers. There's my list 1, list 2. You could do quad reg, list 1, list 2, y1. And if you do max on that, I think it's second trace, which is calculate, you can see max on there. It'll say x equals 1.999. So one time I did it had 2.0. But anyway, and then y equals 9. If you want the highest, wouldn't that be the y value? Still 9. Bubble on your answer document. By the way, if you get some really weird answer like this, you might want to make sure you're getting the right answer because they're kind of cut and dry. They're not going to lead you. So make sure you're picking the right one. The y-axis is the up and down. And by the way, the y-axis would be the Men as well. Next, you've got something going on here now. You got an organization that has a monthly budget of this much money, and there it is, all of it. If this much money is spent on salary, so here's all my money, that's X. That's money for the month, right there, all of it. Yep. If I spend this much on salaries, don't I have the total minus 2070? That's what's left. So that's how much I have left right now. And if I divide that by 4, so divide by 1/4, that would be how much is in the monthly account. So if you look over here, the add signs are out. So you got 2 left. This one says divide the total by 4. And let's look at this one. 2,000 subtract by the big number. Wouldn't that be a negative problem already? Definitely. And this one here, this is total minus 2,000. Divide that by 4. Answer is D. This would be interesting. So you take, what if this number here is 5,000? What's 2,000 minus 5,000 besides a negative? That's not going to work. Answer is D. Think about these questions. Question 36. Which table represents y as a function of x? In other words, who's a function? In other words, x's can't repeat. Does repeat? No. They're okay. They're the same number, but they're not identical. One's positive, one's negative. They're the same. Out. They're all the same. Out. Answer's G. Hard stuff. 37. Which statement about this is true? In other words, don't pick the false one. If you look, I see double distribute, which is FOIL if you're using that terminology. By default, that's a quadratic, and that means rocks. Yes, that sure does. And if you look at this word that says zeros, that probably explains that 0 right there too. Yes, I know. Great hints. Now you can do this backwards. You can process these out, factor them out, and one of these will give you this answer. Or you can put this in y1 and look at the graph and go with the rocks where it crosses the x-axis and find these answers. When I looked at it, I saw -1. That means positive one's wrong. So this one's wrong and this one's wrong. So these are in. I saw a positive and I saw a negative. This one's both negative, so this one's wrong. This one's the winner. Question 38. The graph shows how the volume of a gas sample changes as temperature. I don't care, something going on. Some sample. Be sure to read all that stuff. That's your job to read it. It's not my job to read to you. I see linear. Why? Because I see a straight line. Rate of change? That's only a linear kind of question in the first place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some points on this graph. And if you're smart, and we are all very smart, we pick whole numbers. Now, if you look at these, that's 20, then that's 40. These things are counting by 5. So that's 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And these are counting by 1s. Now, if you want this graph, you have to set your window to that parameter. Continuing. So I've got, that's 30 by 24, and that's, I think that's 55 I wrote. 55 by 26. And that is 90 by 29. So that would be over here, list 1, list 2. Put that in, go to len reg, and you should see y equals mx plus b. The m part is the answer, and I have not done that. Let me stop the video and show you that real quick. So here's my stat. There's my list. I put 30, 55, 90, and I put 24, 26, and 29 in. So then I quit that screen and actually went to stat cal. I did len reg, and actually I'll show you where it's at. I did len reg, list 1, list 2, y1. I pushed the enter button. I got that. If you go to the y equals button, you get this nice big, really big numbers. So, and it's like, that's too much information. If you would do mode, float 2, and then quit to get out of that screen, and then pull that back up again. By the way, I did second enter to get that. And then push enter again, it'll shorten that. And that's a much easier. So it's 8 pennies. So which one of these is 8 pennies? Is 7 divided by 100 8 pennies? Is 1 divided by 12 8 pennies? Or is 12 divided by 1 8 pennies? Or is 22? Yeah, right. Its answer is G. And that is my M because it's sitting right there. Now, where does he get this 22 business? I have a feeling kind of close, but that is the perfect answer. That's not even close. Next question. Alrighty. I've got question 39 up here, and it says, what is the solution to the systems of equations? And so, if you put that in y1, this one in y1, and if you put this one in y2, you can solve this. But if you notice, this one's okay. if you add those parentheses. This one is not okay. So I reset it. I multiply by -1 to get rid of that negative because you can't have that. And I got this. And so I put this one in y1, I put this one in y2, and on my calculator I got x equals 6 and y equals 7. So I put this one as y1 and I put this one as y2. You have to add those extra parentheses, otherwise it won't work. Question 40. You've got a table here. It says exponential. If you put this in list 1, put this in list 2, do exponential reg, list 1, list 2, y1, you'll have the equation right there. It just shows right up. You'll see it. Next. And if not, you can always backtrack and put these in and match that table. Question 41. Question 41 says quadratic. So, and these get kind of interesting. I drew you a picture, sorta. I wanted to at least have an idea of what I'm looking at. I hate to guess. It says quadratic Q and W are graphed in the same coordinate grid, so same piece of paper. The vertex, which is the bottom or the top of Q, is 18 units below the vertex of W. So, real quick. So, Q is 18 units below W. And I'm sorry, that should be W right there. Let me fix that. So, that means Q is at the bottom and W is at the top. That's the way I see it. Now, this is just my, my visual picture real quick, so I know which one's on the bottom and which one's on the top. Now, I put these in. I put this in Y1 and I put this one Y2. I actually darkened this one so I could actually see it. This one was actually above it. That's what I wrote here. This one was above it. These two look like this, and they're supposed to look like that. And then this one looked like that. They were really close. You had to really zoom in to see it because they were very tight. You had to actually watch them pattern. I actually turned one off and then turned the other one back on to see it. Question 42. Electric circuit, the voltage across the register. See that proportional, directly proportional? That means as one goes up, so does the other one. That's a proportion, people. So I've got amps over voltage. You got 12 amps. You got 480 volts. You got 1.5 amps, and this is X. If you were with me last year, you know that start diagonal divide. That's 480 times 1.5 divided by 12. If that makes no sense at all, you also have the butterfly method, which is 480 times 1.5, and that's 12 times X. Should I point out the obvious? That's Y1, Y2, Y not? And you'll get 60 volts. Now you can include that as positive 60 or you could do 60. I don't care. But it's 60 the whole number. Next question. Question 43. It asks you for the x-intercept. It's -5. Well, if you look at my picture, you'll notice real quick that I need x and I need -5. That's a yes. That's not negative. That's not negative. That's not negative. The answer is A. Next question. 44. They ask you about range. I wrote your doctor ID, XY, list 1, list 2. Range is the Y, and so I took my red pencil and I marked it. So it starts here and it stops here. Said the two polka dots right there. So it starts at 0 and goes to 9 but stops. So right here, it's greater than or equal to 0. I agree with that. But less than 28? No, it never got to 28. That part's wrong. Less than or equal to 0, certainly. And less than or equal to 9. That's true as well. Those are solid. 28, there's no 28 on this line. Wrong line. And this one here, equal to 9. All numbers are less than or equal to 9. Well, if you said that, you said there's negatives, and there are no negatives included. The answer is G, like I marked. Next question. Question 45. You got the graph of f of x equals 6x squared minus 11x plus 3. I went to my calculator and I graphed it, and it's asking you for zeros, and I believe those are the rocks. And I put two little cute polka dots right there, and I drew a smiley face because, well, I wanted to. Now, I see two, not one solution. So that means A and C are wrong. So if you're trying to explain how those are right, you just go right ahead because I can't think of one good reason. Next. If you look at that one is between 0 and 1, so like as in less than $1, and that one's between 1 and 2, almost exact, like 1.5. So I estimated, actually used the trace button on my calculator, and that's what I got. I got like 30 cents and I got $1.49. That is this answer. You can actually get the calculator to spit it out. They gave me 33 cents, and then this one was $1.50. Next question. 46. The equation in standard form passes through this point, has this slope. That's point slope form. So remember, the y1, the x1, that comes from over here. This is the x1, and the 1 represents first coordinate. That's your y1. That's your second coordinate. Sorry, that's your second value in this first coordinate. So that's x1, that's y1. I just inserted a number here. I put a number here, and I got 9/2 for m. This is going to be add. Distribute the 9/2. That's 9 over 2x. By the way, 9 times 4 is 36, divided by 2 is 18, so I got that. And then I moved the negative 2 to this side, so I got this. Yay, I'm done. And then you have this big fat mess. I know it's plus 20, and if you look, you're going to divide by 2. So what over here, divide by 2, makes 20. There's only one 40. H, I cheated, but how smart I am.